Hi everybody, this is Cheryl Richardson here for our regular Facebook Live coaching session, and I'm glad to have you here with me. I'm going to start today's session. Well, for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm a New York Times bestselling author of several books, including Take Time for Your Life, Life Makeovers, The Art of Extreme Self-Care, The Unmistakable Touch of Grace. I've written a lot of books on improving the quality of our lives in a variety of ways, emotionally, practically, sort of physically in the world, spiritually. It's all about living more authentically and taking really good care of yourself. That's sort of what I'm known for, and God knows I teach what I need to learn. And I've learned what I need to learn. I just now have to practice it consistently, and I do my best to do that. So I want to start today's Facebook Live coaching session. First of all, just touching base about Chris Carr's program. Remember, I mentioned it last week, or I did a special Facebook Live last week about the fact that Chris had launched a four-week video program, free workshop. And I watched the first one, and that was all about increasing energy, like practicing, adding new practices to your life that would increase your energy. And this week's video workshop is on dealing with food cravings, which I thought was terrific. And I learned some really important things from that as well. So I'm curious as to whether or not any of you have been watching her video. I'll make sure that I put a link to the website in the post when I'm done, so you'll be able to access the videos. I know the first one, the one about having more energy, getting more energy. One of the things that she talked about in that particular video was about the importance of breathing, the breath, oxygenating the blood. And just this past Saturday night, Michael and I were out to dinner with two friends of ours, one of whom's a doctor, the other one is also a healthcare professional. And my friend Anne was talking about the importance of deep breathing, oxygenating the blood to metabolize cortisol, to lower stress levels. And but also she was taking an endocrinology workshop that day. She was talking about there was a naturopath, a doctor of naturopathy, teaching the course on the endocrine system, and the doctor was talking about how important deep breathing is to regulating hormone levels in the body. So I started to pay attention. Ever since I watched Chris's first video, I started to pay attention to my breathing. Like every now and then I would just check in, and I'm going to encourage all of you to do the same thing. I would just check in every now and then and notice, where's my breath? Am I breathing deep or am I breathing shallow? And boy, every single time I checked in, I was breathing way up high in the chest. I wasn't doing any deep breathing. So I would stop and practice just taking a deep breath in through the nose, holding it. So breathing in for 4. It's an old Andrew Weil technique. Breathing in for 4, holding it for a count of 7, and then breathing out slowly on a count of 8. And I would practice that. I would do 10 deep breaths, and I've been doing it more and more. And Chris is right. It absolutely increases energy. It's almost as though you can feel the blood being oxygenated. You can feel the cortisol levels lowering, the stress levels lowering. And if you do it, if you make it a regular practice, like do it when you're driving in the car, do it anytime you get upset. Let it be a trigger to, oh, okay, I need to take a deep breath. Let me do several slow, deep breaths. Practice it at regular times. When you're going to the bathroom, deep breathe. When I'm always looking for, like, what are those regular things that we do? Doing your hair, practice deep breathing while you're doing that. And just notice how it changes your mental clarity, your energy levels, your stress levels, how they reduce. So I would really encourage you to make sure that you check out that first video about increasing energy. And then the second one about food cravings, which I watched this morning. I think it just came out. I think it came out yesterday. And I watched it this morning. Very practical ways to treat food cravings and why we crave foods. She's got a lot of great information. I love Chris Carr, and I love what she does. And plus, she's also fun to watch. She's got a great sense of humor, and she's always doing fun little things in her videos. Like you never know what's gonna like pop up or what's gonna happen during her videos. So if you've been, I'll look as I go through the comments here and see if anybody, if you've been following the videos, if you've seen them, do me a favor and just let me know, and I will. I'll just be curious to see what you think. Hi, Sarah and Denise and Julie and Helena and Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Alexandra, Mary Carmen and Denise, Jackie, Charla. Hi, Charla. Oh, thank you. Mary Carmen, Judy, Danielle. Okay. Yeah, so hi, everybody. Cindy and Rosemary. And so it's Chris Carr. Sorry, it's K-R-I-S, Chris Carr, C-A-R-R, and I'll put the link to her video workshop in the post when I'm done here. So anyway, so I just wanted to check in with you on that. I also want to say that it's been really, really hot here today. It was almost 100 degrees, and it looks like thunderstorms are moving in. So I'm crossing my fingers that we'll be okay between now and 7 o'clock-ish. So the other thing I want to do is I want to address a couple of questions that came in early in the post that I did just before this, reminding people about the Facebook Live, because I know that there's some of you who watch this regularly who couldn't be here tonight, and I wanted to make sure that I recorded answers to your questions. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get to your questions live here under the comment section. I'm going to try and be as efficient as I can be as I answer these. So Anne Elizabeth says, Cheryl, could you please share your personal thoughts on finding peace during a storm? I have a diagnostic medical test scheduled tomorrow, and I'd like to handle it with dignity and hope that no matter what, I'll be okay. Thank you. Yes, Anne, I'm really glad you asked this. I've been in this situation before, and I think I may have spoken about it here before, but there's a couple of things I want to say. First of all, whenever any of us are faced with a diagnostic test, waiting for test results, anything that just feels scary and makes us feel vulnerable, pay close attention to the things that matter most to you. Notice the priorities that float through your mind, just like these hearts and thumbs up. I think of the priorities that float through your mind, that you, the people that you feel maybe nervous or frightened of losing should something be wrong, or the things that really deeply matter to you that you would miss if you didn't have them. And also notice what doesn't matter very much. Notice the things that were bothering you before you knew that you needed to have the diagnostic test, Anne, and the things that just don't really matter now. Now, I know that this might sound scary, and it might sound like an unusual thing, but the gift of any concerns that we have around health, the gift is that it puts us in touch with, in a crystal clear way, what our top priorities are. And Anne, I would write them down. Make a list of the things that really matter to you that you wouldn't want to lose, and make a list of the things that you thought mattered that really aren't that important. Because once you have the test done and you find out everything's okay, you're going to forget about these things. And this is an opportunity for you to remember what really matters. That's the first thing I would say, number one. Number two, and I would say that all of us, whenever I don't care who you are, how old you are, how big you are, whenever we are faced with a vulnerable situation like having to have a test done, it's very easy for us to go into a regress state and feel like little kids. So make sure that you bring somebody with you, even if, especially if you're somebody who sort of toughs things out on your own, or has a tendency to just not isolate, not speak to anybody about what's going on, but instead just decide that you're just going to handle it on your own. That may be how you survived your childhood when you went through difficult things, but there's a frightened young kid inside of us when we go to the doctors that needs our attention and our love and our care. And so sometimes what that young part of us needs is somebody to go with us who can hold our hands. I remember, Anne, when I was going, when they had found a lump in my breast and I was going to see a breast surgeon. I was really scared, but I was so not conscious of how scared I was. And I brought my husband Michael with me because, you know, he's the safest person I have. And I remember we were sitting in the doctor's office, and the nurse came in, as they often do, to just sort of check vital signs. And I normally have low blood pressure, usually like 90/60. And when she came in, she took my blood pressure, and it was like 150/110. And she walked out of the room, and I burst into tears, and Michael said to me, "What's the matter, honey?" And I said, "I had no idea how scared I was. I am so good at just sucking it up and pulling it together and, you know, charging through, that I'm completely disconnected from this vulnerable, just this vulnerable young part of me that's really scared." And so, you know, I let myself have a good cry, and Michael gave me a hug, and I realized it was such a powerful reminder to me, Anne, to make sure I take somebody who can maintain being a grown-up while I'm a little kid, somebody who can really just love me and support me. And so I would encourage you to do that, Anne. I also would really encourage you to check out Chris Carr's workshop, and here's why. I said it last week. The thing that's so powerful about Chris, the reason I am such a what do you call it? Just a fan of hers, a huge fan of hers, is because her work is empowering. It lets us know that, I know some of you are saying you're having a problem with sound and video. If you can see me and hear me just fine, would you do me a favor and just hit the heart or the thumbs up, so I know that some of you, because it's appearing like it's fine on my end. And so it might be, there's a couple things I want to say to you, and I'm going to get back to you in a second. You want to make sure that you, yeah, thank you. Okay, so a lot of you can see and hear me. You want to make sure that you update your Facebook apps. I've learned that every time I do one of these Facebook Lives, I go into the app, the upgrades, and I look for a Facebook upgrade. That might be why you're having a hard time seeing or hearing. So you could even sign off, upgrade, update your app, and then sign back on, and it might be fine. So, Anne, getting clear about what your priorities are and the things that don't really matter, recognizing that there's a child inside of you who's vulnerable and needs support, lining up somebody who can go with you to the appointment. And I mentioned Chris Carr because Chris is living with stage 4 metastatic cancer, and she's been living with cancer for 14 years. And she has discovered that how we eat, how we think, how we breathe, how we take care of this sacred vessel that carries us through life can have a profound impact on any health-related illness, any diagnostic issue. So you're not a victim to this. It doesn't matter what the results are. You actually, and I have friends who have done this. I have students and workshop attendees that have just told me like amazing stories about how changing their diet, changing their lifestyle. Remember, Bruce Lipton, who's a dear friend of mine and whose work I love, who's, you know, bringing this whole study of epigenetics to the world, talks about how the environment in which we live, the environment called our bodies, how we take care of those environments turns genes on and off. So remember, Anne, that regardless of what happens, this could be a beautiful opportunity for you to be clear about what your priorities are, and also to learn how to take charge of your health in an even greater way. So yes, and Chris does a lot of, she's got a wealth of information. So please make sure, Anne, that you check out the link here, go in, watch her videos. She's doing a 21-day course, I think at the beginning of July. That, you know, that's the prescription for health as far as I'm concerned. Take that workshop and do the 21 days, because regardless of what's going on for you, that's only going to improve your health without a doubt. And watch the videos that she's posted of women who have dramatically changed their lives as a result of going through her program. It's really inspiring. Okay, the other question I wanted to answer was from Jessica, who says, because there were several people who could identify with her, including James and Greg. Hi, James and Greg. Greg, welcome back from the Camino. You're walking the Camino. And James, I know you're not here live. You'll be watching the rerun. I'll be getting back to you. I did get your email. Jessica says, can you talk about letting go of what was and accepting what is now? I feel stuck in the past even though my present looks okay. How do I help myself drop the grief? Okay. Whenever somebody says to me, hold on, I'm just getting something to drink. Whenever somebody says to me, how can I just forgive right now? Or how can I just stop feeling so angry at this person? Or how can I just let go of the past? What it tells me is there's a lot of energy around trying to get rid of something and not enough energy around embracing something. Kombucha. So the first thing I would say, Jessica and Greg and James, anybody, several people who commented on this, what I would say is that you want to embrace the grief. Now, if you're experiencing a loss that happened quite some time ago and you feel like you just can't get beyond it, you need to be in therapy doing some work around it. Grief brings up other ungrieved losses. I've experienced that firsthand. And we need to be able to go back and look at and heal from and deal with anything in the past that is still living in our present. So it's a combination of neural programming. You know, we all have these programs running in our minds like a giant computer. And it's very easy to get those programs plugged back in, Jessica, and suddenly you're running the same tapes over and over and over again. And that's just going to keep you stuck in the past. So some of it is neural programming, the way we think. But a lot of us can't change our thinking on our own. If we've really gone through hard times, if we've experienced really difficult losses, it's hard to change our thinking on our own. And you have to feel your feelings, and you've got to move through the grief. Having a partner, having somebody well-trained in dealing with issues like that to support you is one of the ways that you move through it. I happen to love the inner adventure. I think everything that happens that needs to be healed is an opportunity to become more authentic, to be more connected to our feelings, more honest, to have deeper, more fulfilling relationships. And all of that happens when we deal with the past. Just like you can't jump over grief, you can't jump to forgiveness. I've tried it many times. It doesn't work. You actually have to work through not only whatever present day pain is going on, but whatever it's triggering from the past. And so embracing the grief, embracing the habit of being stuck in the past, and reaching out for help, and doing the deep healing work will not only help you to live more in the present, it will just set you up to create an even better future. So those are some of the things that I would recommend, Jessica and James and Greg, and I hope that that's helpful to you. You know, it's not a quick fix. Therapy isn't a quick fix. Doing healing work, going back into the past and healing stuff that needs to be healed isn't a quick fix, but it is worth it because it will allow you to live a more authentic life. It will allow you to be really clear about who you are and how you feel and what you love and what you don't love and how to be able to, set better limits with people and to welcome more love into your life. I mean, this is how we live rich lives, by doing this kind of healing work. Okay, Sarah says, when embarking on a new project, what is a good strategy to overcome potential stumbling blocks and challenges that come along the way? I do understand that they're learning opportunities. Well, that's great. So here, just when I read that question, Sarah, the first thing I thought I wanted to say to you was that, and this is so helpful for all of you, because all of you are going to embark on something new at some point. New relationship, new job, new class. I'm still, working on my deck garden. I'm still learning to be a gardener. And this morning, one of my plants has aphids. And I was like, oh, no, how am I going to deal with, this is something new. And I'm not an experienced gardener. And now I'm, doing some research. And I noticed the tendency to feel uncomfortable with what I don't know, and to feel uncomfortable with the learning process. So Sarah, what I would say to you is this, and to all of you, whenever we, embark on something new, we are consciously incompetent first. We know that we don't know what's going on. So we're conscious of what we don't know and it feels uncomfortable. As we go along and we learn, like as I go along and I learn how to deal with the garden and the problems that come along with the garden, and I get good at it and I have experience, and year after year I learn more about how to deal with the problems that arise in a garden, I become consciously competent. I suddenly realize, okay, you know what, I know a few things. Like I know how to plant the flowers, and I know how to water them properly this year, and I know how to fertilize them, and I know when to fertilize them. I'm learning. I know the kinds of plants to buy. I know what plants work best here on my deck garden for the most part, because I'm consciously competent now. I have enough experience. Eventually, I'll be unconsciously competent. Just like when you drive your car, you don't think, okay, put foot on gas, put foot on brake, put car into park. You just drive your car because you're unconsciously competent. You know how to do it. You've been doing it a long time and it comes as second nature. So understanding, Sarah, that whenever we start something new, we will be consciously incompetent, and we need to really, really love and be gentle with ourselves during that period. We have to be really just kind and supportive. You know, I remember Louise Hay said to me once, this is like a few years ago, she was doing something new, and I don't even remember what it was. It might have been related to her car. And she said, you know, I noticed that lately what I've been saying to myself is, it's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. You're all right. It's okay. Everything's good. And I thought, you know, what a beautiful, just beautiful way to talk to herself. So as you embark on the new project, when a potential stumbling block comes up, you just simply want to say, oh, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to learn something new, and I'm going to be really gentle and kind with myself as I go through this opportunity. Or here's a chance to do something different, or to gain some experience that's going to benefit me in other ways. So it's really so much about how we talk to ourselves, right, Sarah? It's so much about, can we be loving and kind and gentle as we take on new things? Because a lot of times what we're really afraid of is how we beat ourselves up as we go along. So I hope that you'll be loving and kind to yourself. Okay, Lisa wants to know, how do you reinvent yourself when you're in midlife? Well, reinventing yourself sounds awfully overwhelming to me, Lisa. I understand where the question comes from. I am at midlife. But instead, I would encourage you to just think about, what's the next step I can take to get to know myself better, to get to know what's important to me at this time in my life, to understand my priorities, to understand what I don't want in my life, to take better care of my health, to improve my relationships. Like, you can just pick one or two things, and one or two things related to you getting to know yourself better and to build a stronger relationship with yourself. And your life will slowly begin to reinvent itself over time. It's a period in our lives, Lisa, when we do, I think it's natural and normal to be sort of looking at, who am I at this time in my life? When you realize, okay, I probably have more time behind me than ahead of me. That's a really valuable thing to recognize. And it might not sound like a great affirmation to people, but it's also reality. And it's an opportunity to begin to look at what's deeply important to you at this time in your life, and to begin to make some of those priorities a more central focus of your attention, rather than just staying on that gerbil wheel of life and ignoring the things that you need to really, and you deserve to pay attention to. So there's real gifts in this midlife process where we have a chance to kind of take the hero's journey or the heroine's journey, where we suddenly, drop down into this place of unknowing, but we welcome it and we stay there and we begin to explore the things that we really love. That's why gardening and nature and birds and animals and so many things like this are now so much more of a priority to me. And they were a priority to the little girl, too, when I was very young. But the busyness of life and the period of life where I was out in the world building a career and earning a living and saving money and doing all of that stuff, the things that were deeply important to my soul took a back seat. And the gift of midlife is they stopped taking a back seat. And so your job right now, Lisa, is to begin to explore what really matters to your soul. And I know you can do it. And rather than think of it as a reinvention, think of it as a reintroduction to the things that you love, one small step at a time. Take the pressure off yourself. And you can start with a very simple exercise. Here's something I did a few years back. I bought myself a beautiful little journal. And I started keeping a page. Every day I wrote down 10 things, 10 moments of pleasure that I experienced in my life that day. Could have been seeing a red cardinal at the bird feeder, or watching a blue heron take off, or feeling a cool breeze come through the window, or whatever it might be. I would make a list of 10 moments of pleasure every single day. And at the end of a month, I was able to look back and begin to see some of the things that were really important to my soul. And I began to understand myself and to kind of reintroduce myself to myself in some ways, Lisa. And that began an awakening process that I think an exercise like that might be able to awaken, might be able to do for you too. An awakening process that helps you to, that just helps you to get to know who you are at this time in your life more deeply, and to really honor the things that matter to your soul. Okay, let's go to, I'm going to go to some of your questions here. I'm going to just scroll through. We're going to do some live questions. There's a lot of questions, a lot of comments. So let's see, I want to just start. I hope you all can see me and hear me. And, okay, yeah, thank you. Thanks for the hearts. Oh, thanks, Mark. Yeah, feel free to share this video with people that you think might benefit. You know, it's all about just helping people to feel better in their lives. Okay. Cheyenne wants to know, have you heard anything about balancing alkaline and acidic foods? That is a reoccurrence I'm seeing that keeps coming up in readings. Yes, you know, we know that most people have a very acidic body. People with cancer have a very acidic body. I would encourage you to look at Chris Carr's work, check out her books. It's one of the simple places. By the way, deep breathing also creates more of an alkaline state in the body. So deep breathing has a lot of incredible benefits. And I would really check out Chris's work. Creating more of an alkaline system is actually so much better for health. Judy wants to know, my husband's not working right now. How can I deal with being scared about our finances if it takes him a while to find a job? Okay, so Judy, first, I don't know if you're working. You can comment and let me know if you are. But I think it's important. There's a couple of things. So your husband has his own set of fears and concerns as he looks for a job. And then you've got your own set. I would first of all really encourage you to get support, Judy, from somebody outside of your husband. People outside of your husband. I'm going to tell you what to do with him in a second. But it's really important that you deal with your own discomfort, your own anxiety and fear outside of the marriage, so that he doesn't have the added pressure of your fear, because he's already got it himself, I guarantee you. He may not be expressing it, but I've dealt with enough men going through the job loss process to know it's a big deal, because men traditionally are raised to be the breadwinners, and so much of their identity and their sense of self-worth is attached to that. And when they don't have a job, they don't feel great. And some of them will get kind of bullying, or might isolate, or might get kind of just tough to be around. A lot of that is just about fear. So getting support outside of the marriage is really important, Judy. I think also it would be really great if you and your husband could plan a weekly meeting where you just allow each other to talk about the process, what's going on. So, for example, the meeting might be related to finances. I think saying things to your husband like, honey, I want to know what I can do to support you during this time. And that includes, what do we need to do with the family finances to take some of the pressure off of you? It might mean cutting back on some things for a while, but really letting him know you're in his corner and you want to support him and you want to support the family. If you're not working, being willing to get a job. I can't tell you how many times I've had to coach women in a situation, particularly as they've gotten older and the husband has lost a job or partner has lost a job. Sometimes the woman who hasn't worked needs to go out and find a job, and it turns out being an extraordinary experience for her or for him. So I would encourage you to be thinking about how you can contribute to the family if you're not already, and talk to him about maybe going out and getting some work yourself. Set up a weekly meeting, and during that meeting, it's really important to practice what Harville Hendricks talks about, creating a safe place for each of you to talk about this process and what's going on, so that it's not, what are you doing? How many resumes did you send out? How many interviews have you lined up? Tell me what you're doing for your job search. I mean, that's not going to support him. Trust me when I tell you. You are working. Okay, thank you, Judy. But having a weekly meeting that's set up when you're both in kind of sane and calm places, where you can just express to him how you feel and what you're concerned about, and allow him to just listen and maybe even mirror back what he hears you saying. This is part of Harville Hendricks' work, the imago process, he calls it, the dialogue process. And then doing the same where he has a chance to just talk about the process and what's going on for him, and you simply just mirror back what you hear him saying. So you create a safe place for each of you to talk about your feelings related to his job search process in this period in your lives and in your marriage, without there being any judgment or arguing or anything like that. That's going to be really supportive. And if you want to take it a step further, when Michael and I were doing couples counseling together, we have this one fantastic gentleman, Ed Shea. I always talk about Ed Shea, who's in Chicago. And whenever Michael and I hit a rough patch, we'll get on the phone with Ed and we'll do some dialogue process. And he always has us start any dialogue or any meeting with 3 things we appreciate about each other. So I'll tell Michael something I appreciate about him, and he'll mirror it back. He'll tell me something he appreciates about me. I mirror it back, so we make sure we really got it. We heard each other. And it really just sets a stage for a beautiful meeting. So that's what I would recommend, Judy, is setting up regular weekly meetings so you know what's going on and you feel informed. You're getting your emotional support outside of the marriage. And then you can also say to him, tell me how I can support you. Are there resources I can get for you? Is there, do you want me to do some research about a career coach? Do you want me to look at a resume? Like just anything at all. Just know that I'm here to support you, but I'm not going to bug you. Okay? Because men don't like to be bugged. All right, Judy. Good luck to you. And you know what else I'm going to do, Judy, is I'm going to put you and your husband in my prayer book. Right, Poopy? Poopy's right here, my little poopon. Hey, sweet boy. I'm going to put the both of you, write you right down in my prayer book right now, in the hopes that Judy and her hubby, in the hopes that he finds the perfect job right away. And just keep affirming for him, too. Affirm for yourself the perfect job. He finds the perfect job. The perfect job finds my husband. And then let him know that you're going to be affirming that, too. Like if it were me and I were really supporting Michael, and I need to think about this because Michael's finishing a project and I could really, so thank you, Judy. Even like creating some affirmations that you put around the house to remind him to think positively and to be excited about the process might be a really loving thing to do as well. So, all right, let's see. Danielle, someone told me to get one of your books about self-care, but they didn't know what the name was. It's called The Art of Extreme Self-Care. I would bet that might be it. Let's see. Yes, Julie, thank you. Chris Carr does help with an alkaline diet. Thank you, Kathy, for responding to Danielle. You got there before me, Kathy. You're always so helpful to everybody, and I really appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Alan says, Hello, Cheryl. I'm considering hiring an attorney for the first time in my life. We have bats living in our condo building, and I think it's the housing authority, is not taking it seriously. They keep trying Band-Aid fixes that don't work. Any suggestions? Well, Alan, you're going to laugh at me when I say this to you. First of all, I have a thing with bats. When I was young, before I got married, I was renting an apartment that had bats. I was on the third floor of this little apartment. And I started to get this funky smell in the apartment. And lo and behold, there were a whole host of bats just on the other side of my bedroom wall, like 150 bats. And the reason I know that is because when the landlord hired the bat, I won't say exterminator because I don't believe in exterminating animals. When they hired a company to get rid of the bats, what they discovered was that they came and they discovered where the bats were. It was pretty easy because it was smelly. They sat outside at dusk, and the first night they counted how many bats left that particular part of the house. 150. That's a lot of bats. And so they waited all the way to the last one, and then the next night they came back and they counted 150 bats, and when they left, they plugged up the hole, and the problem was gone. I had a bat in my house just 2 weeks ago. Michael and I were in the living room watching TV, and I look down the hallway and I see this black thing flying back and forth, and I think, oh my goodness, there's a bat in the house. And I went online and looked up. I actually talk to animals, Alan. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but they listen to me. I love animals, and the last time we had a bat in the house, there was an exterminator who came, and he was going to exterminate the bat, and I said, no, you're just going to show me what you typically do, and I'm going to actually ask the bat to leave. He was a young man. He thought I was crazy. We went through the process of getting the bat to come down from the ceiling. The bat flew right to me, landed right next to me. And after I talked to him and thanked him for being there and letting him know that I got the message, stay with me, Alan, because I know you're thinking, yeah, right, you're out of your mind, I'm pissed and this is crazy, but stay with me. And the bat flew right down next to me, and I covered him with a scarf and brought him outside and let him go. 2 weeks ago when the bat came in, I opened doors, locked up Poupon. Poupon found the bat for me, and just spoke to him and asked him, let him know that he could leave. And so, and he did. He flew right out of my office door. So, Alan, I don't know. There's a very specific way to remove multiple bats from a property, and I'm assuming that you've done research. I don't know if you have or not. If you haven't, you want to do that. You want to just talk to a company that specializes in removing bats, and I would say humanely, not exterminating them. You want them to leave. By the way, I ended up installing bat houses around my home, and the bats that were coming into this house now are living in the bat houses around my home. That's called a natural, humane fix, a loving fix. So I would find out, Alan, exactly the right way to have it done by talking to a reputable firm, and then I would look up the symbolism of bat to see why these bats are in your life at this time. You can absolutely speak to an attorney about what you need to do to get the condo association to deal with this problem. And the more informed you are, the better. And then rather than, here's the best thing I can say to you, Alan, as someone who's dealt with attorneys and dealt with legal issues before. Try to approach this with love instead of anger. And I know it's hard when you feel like people aren't taking care of what they should take care of. Be somebody who takes this on with a big heart and with a wise mind, and who basically, you could go to an attorney and say to them, look, I don't want to be a shit disturber here. That's what I want to say. It's not like I want to create a big mess. I just want the problem handled. And I need it handled properly. And I know it can be expensive. So I know that that's why you're seeing the attorney. And I need your help. You want to say to the attorney, I need your help in dealing with this as quickly and as lovingly and as efficiently as possible. If you have an attorney who can't hear that or thinks it's weird or like starts telling you, well, here's what we're going to do, I promise you, you have an attorney that's going to cost you more money than it needs to be. So you want somebody who's really into handling this in a loving way, quickly and efficiently. And in doing that, I think that you'll find that you'll be able to handle your bat problem. You know, bats can be harbingers of new beginnings, a time where something, a death and rebirth. And so I wonder, Alan, also, you know, what's dying in your life and what's asking to be reborn. And if you have multiple bats, it's going to be a little tricky talking to them. They really do need to leave the premises, and you need to know they're gone, and the holes need to be plugged after that. But you can start a dialogue with them. I promise you they listen. They really do. As a matter of fact, somebody just told me today, Alan, I want you to go to pbs.org and put in the man who lived with mule deer. I can't remember the name of I can't remember the name of the, it's, oh God, it's right on the tip of my tongue. It was a Nova program about a man, it's a documentary about a man who spent, I think, 6 years living with mule deer. And I can't wait to watch it. I just saw the preview of it today. Somebody recommended it to me. And he talks about, you know, how we absolutely can communicate with wildlife. I know that to be true, but I also want you to check that out, Alan. And then come back and let me know how things go. I'm really curious. Just please, please, please try not to hurt the bats. Please, I'm sorry. It's a complete bias of mine, but please try not to hurt the bats. Okay. Charlotte, thank you so much for helping me to know how to get rid of aphids. You see, this is what happens. Yeah, because I don't want to kill bees. This is great. I will do that. Thank you so much. See, this is what I mean. When you don't know what to do, when you're consciously incompetent, you got to reach out and ask for help, and you all are so helpful. Okay. Good, Connie. I'm glad you're starting to talk more kindly to yourself and that you're liking it. That's awesome. All right, let's see. I'm looking, a lot of people supporting Heidi. Cindy, thank you for doing that, you guys. Mary Carmen, how can you work with someone that is diagnosed with adrenal fatigue? Is that you, Mary Carmen? I don't know. I would see a good naturopath or functional medicine doctor to deal with adrenal fatigue. It's a real issue. Lots of people struggle with it. Really good multivitamins are important, lots of rest. Acupuncture can be incredibly helpful. I'm a big fan of Chinese medicine. And so even dealing with a naturopath, Chinese medicine, acupuncturist, are some of the things, dealing with sleep, because, you know, a lot of times with adrenal fatigue, good night's sleeps are hard, and yet that's what you really need. So getting support. You know, I like naturopaths and I like functional medicine docs because they deal with the whole system. They're not just going to go in and just give you something for the adrenals. They're going to deal with rejuvenating and healing your whole body and your whole system, including your life and your lifestyle and your emotional health. All of those things are really important. So that's the most responsible answer. I'm not a doctor, and I can't tell you, you know, I can tell you what I've done and what I've seen other people do, but it's not going to be any good for you. You need to be seen by somebody so that you're able to have your own individual issues dealt with. Okay. Yes, Kathy Ann, this will be available for a replay. The Facebook Lives are, and then also on my YouTube channel, Cheryl Richardson TV. All of them get posted there as well. Okay, let's see. Just looking for your questions here. Okay, so Cheryl says, my husband is so secretive about money and refuses to discuss financial planning or retirement planning or do any estate documents with me. Well, that's a problem, Cheryl, isn't it? What are you going to do with that? I mean, you're married, and you certainly, I'm assuming you own property together or you have assets together. So if my husband didn't want to discuss any money with me, I would probably be talking to him about the importance of marriage counseling, because Otherwise, really, the only option is to have your own accounts, your own money, your own retirement, to live as if you're single. And I'm sure some people do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as both parties are okay with that. Doesn't sound like you would be, Cheryl. So, and listen, I know plenty of people who don't want to talk about estate planning. I mean, how many of you watching this have a will, right? How many of you, give me a thumbs up if you've done a will. No, let's do it this way. Give me a thumbs up if you know you need to do estate planning or a will and you haven't done it. Be honest now, okay? Just send a thumbs up through. I'm curious, Cheryl. You'll see. A lot of people don't do that because it means we have to look at death, and we're so afraid of dealing with death in this country. And we need to deal with death because we're all going to die at some point. And you actually live a lot better when you deal with what's going to happen when you die or when a loved one dies. So it might be that there's a lot of fear related to that, Cheryl. And so when you're not plugged in about it, when you don't have a lot of energy about it, I would encourage you to go to him, to sit him down, charge neutral, and just say to him, this is really important to me. And I don't feel safe in the world without knowing where we are financially and without doing estate planning. And we need to do that. And if you don't want to talk about it or you don't want to do something about it, then I think we have a deeper problem that we really need to address. And I'm thinking we need to see some kind of a counselor to support us in having that dialogue. As a matter of fact, you know what I'll do, Cheryl, is I'm going to put Ed Shea's contact info in this post when we're done, because he really specializes in helping couples to have safe and loving conversations about difficult things. And he works over the phone. He's in Chicago, we're here in Massachusetts. So if you can get your husband to speak with him, Ed's been a family and marriage therapist for, I think, 40 years now, and he's a really great guy. And he's dealt with plenty of men and women who didn't want to have any kind of counseling conversation, and he's done he just knows how to handle that well. And so I'll put his contact info, because the truth is, Cheryl, you can't tolerate not being able to talk about money and not being able to talk about estate planning. You've got to be able to do that, sweetheart. You deserve that. This is your future and your safety. And I'm thinking of one client I worked with whose husband completely handled all of the retirement money for the both of them, all the investing and everything, and then they separated, and he refused to let her know what was going on. And when they separated, she wound up in a really tough financial spot in her late 60s, and it's not what you want. So there needs to be a dialogue about this, and you might need to push the envelope, and I know it's not going to be easy, but you might need to really take a strong stand about getting counseling. Sometimes, I'm not saying in this case, but there are times where you sometimes have to threaten the end of the relationship because you kind of feel like that's where it's going to end up if you don't get some help. But don't go there yet. Let's just see if you can get him to talk to somebody with you. And I'll put Ed Shea's contact info in the post when we're done here. Okay. Let's see. Kristen says, hi, Cheryl. I'm in a relationship with a good, wonderful man I love, but he won't commit or plan next steps in our future together. I can't figure out what to do. I've been stuck in this quandary for several years. Wow, it's a long time, Kristen. How do I get unstuck and move forward with him or on my own? Well, so the first thing I want to say about that, Kristen, is you want to, if this were me, I would get into therapy and I'd begin looking at what healing needs to be done that has allowed you to stay in a relationship with somebody who can't commit to you the way you want to be committed. So, in other words, what has to happen in order for you to raise your standards so that you not only recognize you deserve somebody who is ready to commit to you in the way that you want to commit to them? What needs to be healed in order for you to allow that in? And what's playing out here that's reflective of healing from your childhood probably that needs to be addressed. I say that, Kristen, because it may be that you do need to consider walking away from this relationship. Clearly you've been together a long time, and that's scary and painful. So you've got to get some real support system in place. You also need to get some real strength and sort of self-esteem underneath you. I don't know if self-esteem is the right word, but good support, good... you need to get a stronger relationship with yourself in place so that you don't feel like you're a victim to this relationship, that you don't feel like, you're stuck here, vulnerable and unable to move on with your life in a way that, this has got to be taking energy from you because you're living with this every day knowing that you're not sharing the same level of commitment. So I would first look at therapy for yourself so that you can really do some healing work that needs to be done and really explore, why am I in this relationship? I don't know. Maybe there's a way to stay in it without that kind of commitment. Obviously he's committed. He's been with you for a while. But yeah, I bet it is exhausting because when we are out of integrity, and that's what that means, when we're living in a situation that on some level isn't right for us and we know it, we're out of integrity. And when we're out of integrity with ourselves, it's just a constant draining of energy. Here's the problem with that, Kristen. When day in and day out, your energy is being drained because of this situation, you don't have the energy to do something about it. So I want you to start to bring energy back into your body by putting some really good support in place from a loving, wise, strong-minded therapist who can help you explore why you're still in this relationship and what you need in order to leave, if in fact that's what has to happen. Because it might be that you might decide at some point that, you know what, it's what do they say, shit or get off the pot. Either you need to commit to this or I need to move on. Only when you're ready. Never threaten that unless you're ready. And you might find that in doing that, he actually makes a commitment, that you invite him to recognize how important this relationship is to him and how much he needs to do work around his own fear of commitment. But it all starts with you getting a strong foundation of support underneath you. And that's where it begins. You deserve to have somebody who loves you and is deeply committed to you and who wants to say, yes, I want a future with you. I'm in this for the long haul. You deserve that, Kristen. You don't deserve anything less than that. And if it's not with him, it will be with somebody else. But you've got to raise your level of deservability, and that comes from doing healing work. All right, I'm putting you in my prayer book too. You and your partner. Because it's healing for both of you to look at this issue, because I guarantee you it's taking his energy too. All right, sweetheart. Let's see. We got time for a couple more. Yes, Rachel. Hi, Rachel, sweetheart. I know exactly who you are. Hi, Cheryl. Years ago, at the Next Step, you advised me to move to a bigger town near Brisbane in Australia. To be better, it would be better for my business. Well, with one thing and another, I have not done it, and now is the time. I've downsized and my lease is up soon. Do you have any advice for releasing the blocks, please? I feel a little anxious. Yeah, so Rachel, of course you feel anxious. You're supposed to feel anxious when you're thinking about moving. You see, this is where the tapping work is so helpful because it reminds us. So Rachel, the tapping is something like, even though I'm nervous about making this move, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even though I feel anxious about making this move, I love and accept these feelings. Even though I'm afraid to make the move because I don't know what to expect, I choose to feel peaceful and calm. Even though I'm afraid to make this move because I don't know what it will mean for my future, I choose to decide it will mean great things. Even though I'm afraid to make this move because it makes me feel anxious and I'm afraid that there will be blocks and obstacles, I choose to remember that I have what it takes to handle anything. Now, Rachel, I know you, and I know you have. I remember you when I was in Australia, and I know you have what it takes to handle everything, anything that happens. So this is about you. I want you to replay this remember, it's just before the end, like 5 minutes before the end. Write down what I just said. I'm just sort of mentioning that for you. You can do the tapping with that, and then you can just, I'm anxious about the move. I'm afraid about making the move. What if I make the move and I can't handle it? What if I don't, I just feel anxious. What if it's not the right move? What if I make a mistake? Oh, that's right. I can make a different choice. Oh, I can always move back if I want to, but I still feel anxious about making the move. That's okay. I love myself anyway. What if it doesn't work out? That's okay. I love myself anyway. Like, you can just go through that process and it will actually help you. You know what, Rachel? It's time. It's time. And what if you knew that there were great things waiting for you in that big city? Like, really, if you had a guarantee there were great things waiting in Brisbane for you, I bet you'd be packing your bags tonight, right? Well, here's the thing. When you learn to trust yourself, when you remember, when you stay in an adult place, because the anxiety is probably a younger regressed place, the adult you knows exactly what to do. You've been doing great ever since I've saw you. I follow you. I watch your posts on my Facebook page. The adult you knows exactly what to do. The way we guarantee a great future is by remembering that we have what it takes to handle anything. There are no guarantees in life. I could go out and get hit by a bus tomorrow, break my back. Please God, I hope it doesn't happen. And you know what? Then I'm just going to have to deal with that. I trust myself to be resourceful, to have loving people around me. You do too. You're resourceful. I know you have loving people around you. And it's time. You've wanted to do this for a long time. So rather than focus on whether or not it's the right decision, focus on how you're going to support yourself as you make it and you make the move. There's something wonderful waiting for you, Rachel. I just know it. I really do. I really do. Okay. Mick Cobber. I'm just curious, do you talk out loud to the animal or communicate non-verbally? Both. When the bat was in my house, he was hanging from the ceiling the first time when I was here with the young man. And I said to him, "Hello, sweetheart. Thank you so much for being here. You are beautiful." Because he stretched his wings, I remember, and I said, "You are so beautiful. I'm glad you came to visit, and I appreciate your symbolism because I looked it up. I get the message that you've sent, and I just want you to know that it's time to leave. And I don't want anything to happen to you. I want you to be okay." Now, this exterminator guy's looking at me like, this woman's out of her mind. She is a whack job. I guarantee this is what he's thinking. It didn't matter. I don't care. So I'm like, you know what? It's time for you to leave, and I want this process to be as simple and easy as possible. So all I'm going to do is we're just going to tap you with this. He had this long pole. We're going to tap you with the pole so that you can fly down, and I want you to just come right down here, and when you do, I will gently pick you up and put you outside, and then you can take off and you'll be free. Like, I literally just talked to him out loud as if he were another being who could completely understand me. It's exactly what happened. So the guy just taps him gently with the pole. The bat takes off, swoops down, and lands on the desk right next to me. And I had a scarf already. I put a scarf over him, gently picked him up, walked outside, placed the scarf down on the deck, opened it up, and said to him, "Look at you, how beautiful you are. It's okay, go ahead." And he stopped and he sort of looked up like, what the hell just happened? And then just flew off. The young man said to me, "Oh my God, I've never seen anything like that." And I remember I gave him a really big tip. And I said to him, I gave him a big tip because I wanted him to remember this. And he was a young kid. I said, "Please," he was the son of the owner. I said, "I'm giving you a big tip, and I want you to remember this experience. Remember, you can talk to animals. They listen to you. You can talk to any living being, and that being listens to you. So the next time someone calls you to exterminate, do me a favor. Please just try talking to them first. Look for a way to keep them safe, and you'll feel better about your work too. And please God, I hope he does that. I really do." Anyway, okay. Okay, so let's see. Oh, it's 7 o'clock. All right, I need to finish up. Let me just say this. So remember, check out Chris Carr's video. It's a way to feel empowered about your health. And she's a love, and she's got the goods, and I want to support her good work in the world because it makes people feel empowered and like they actually have choices about how they live. And I want you to have that choice. I want you to feel better. I want you to have more energy. I want you to be able to deal with your cravings. I want you to be able to lose the weight if that's what you want to do. And I want you to not be so afraid of your body. You can work in partnership with this beautiful vehicle that carries you through life. And she's helped. She has God knows she's really helped me to do that, and I know she can help you too. Deep breathing. Remember, practice deep breathing, everybody. Metabolizes cortisol, lowers stress hormones, balances the hormones in your body. Alkalines, helps to create more of an alkaline state in the body and just makes you feel better, gives you more energy. And next week is my 20th wedding anniversary on Monday. Michael and I are celebrating. We're going to be away Monday and Tuesday. So I think Facebook Live might happen on Wednesday of next week, but I'll let you know. Please make sure that you're subscribed to my newsletter. Just look right up, look, see where it says sign up. Sign up there and make sure you follow me on Facebook. That way you'll get notice of the Facebook Lives. And in the meantime, have a beautiful week. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for all your questions. And thank you for supporting each other too as you've continued to communicate with each other as we go along here. I think that's terrific as well. All right, I'm going to post the resources when we're done. Love you all very much and look forward to next week. Bye.